This is part 2 of simplifying expressions, writing radicals in exponential form. So on the back side of your paper, let's rewrite these radicals in exponential form. I suggest at least doing the first step and trying to simplify each one of these before just watching me do them on the video. First one, the index is 8. Remember, in an exponent, the index is what part? The numerator or the denominator of the exponents. That's right, it is the denominator. So you can rewrite this as 13 to the 4/8 power. That 4 becomes the numerator. Now 4/8 can be reduced. It reduces to 1/2. So this becomes 13 to the 1/2 power. Remember, 1/2 is the same thing as square root, and there's no way we're going to get a nice number out of the square root of 13, so you are done with that problem. Now on this one, let's rewrite it. It should be 3 to the 15 over 5 power. That fraction reduces to just 3, so it's 3 to the 3rd power, which you can simplify more. It's just 27. Next, we've got the 3rd root of 27. Well, you could rewrite this in exponential form, and you'll eventually get the right answer, but you should also know what the 3rd root of 27 is by now. The 3rd root of 27 is just 3. So this is going to be 3 squared. So in addition to knowing your perfect squares, 4, 9, 16, 25, etc., you should know at least the first 5, if not 6, perfect cubes. They are 3 cubed is 27, 2 cubed is 8, not really going in order, apologize. So your perfect cubes, I'll write them up here. It would be 8, 27 for 3, 64 for 4, 125 for 5, and 216 for 6. Beyond that, I really wouldn't necessarily expect you to have those memorized. Back to C. 3 squared is 9. All right, let's look at D. 4th root of 81. Hopefully you guys recall what the 4th root of 81 is. It is 3. So this is just 3 to the 3rd power, which again, 27. Seems like all our answers. 27. Okay, let's go over to this one. Now 10 to the 9th, I definitely don't want to take 10 to the power of the 9th. That'd be a really big number. So let's rewrite this in exponential form. It would be 10 to the 9 over 3 power. Remember, that power turns into the top part of the fraction of the exponent, and the index is the bottom part. Now, the 9 over 3 does reduce to 3, so it's going to be 10 to the 3rd, which you can figure out fairly easily. Just 10 times 10 times 10. So this one is 1,000. Let's take a look at the next one. I don't really know what the 4th root of 5 is. So let's rewrite this one in exponential form. The index is 4. The power is 2. So I'm going to write it as 5 raised to the 2/4 power. I can reduce that to 5 to the 1/2 power, which is the same thing as the square root of 5. And since today we're leaving stuff in exponential form, that's as far as it's going to go. Okay, everything on this page you've already learned. It's just it looks a little different because we're using fractions for exponents instead of whole numbers. But the rules apply. If you've got the same base like you do on A, you're able to add when you have a product of factors. So, remembering our rules for adding fractions, this will be 7 raised to the 7/9 plus 11/9. Since the bases are the same, since the denominators are the same in the fraction, you can directly add the numerators. This gives you 7 to the 18 over 9 power. That fraction can be reduced, becomes 2. So this is 7 squared, which turns into 49. Now over here, we're dividing instead of multiplying, so we're going to subtract instead of add the exponents. Now, the general rule is that you want to move the exponent that is the smallest, you want to move this whole term down to the denominator. So we're going to move the top part. And when we move the top part, it's the one you subtract. So I'm going to rewrite this as 1 over 16 raised to the 5 over 4 power minus the exponent I'm moving, which is 3 over 4. I can do this because the 16s are the same. If the bases were different, I would not be able to combine those two directly. So I'm going to keep going. 5 minus 3 is 2, so we now have 1 over 16 to the 2/4 power. 2/4 can be written as 16 to the 1/2. And remember, 1/2 is the same thing as the square root. Square root of 16 is 4. So it's 1 over 4. Okay, let's look at this one. This is a power to a power. So you've got your power, and then you're raising it to another power. So the rule, as you might remember from the front page of our handout, is that you multiply these exponents. So you're going to take 4 times negative 1/2. If you do that, you get negative 2. So the first step is you get 4 to the negative 2nd power. Then dig deep into the bowels of your memory to figure out what you do with negative exponents. If you want to get rid of a negative exponent, you move the whole term from one side of the fraction line to the other. So in this case, this is all over 1. Now it's going to be 1 over 4, but instead of a negative 2, it's going to be a positive 2. So we got 1 over 4 squared. And of course, 4 squared is 16, so it's 1/16. Last 3. Here we go. Bases are the same, which is excellent, because then we can add the exponents directly. 36 raised to the 4/8. That's what you get when you add 3/8 and 1/8. 4/8 reduces to 1/2. Okay, I'll remind you again, 1/2 is really like the square root, so this is going to become 6. Now this one, it's not quite as interesting. The exponent on that 8 is a positive 1. So this is really just negative 8 raised to the negative 1/3 power. On this one, it's a good idea to try to get rid of the negative because it makes it really confusing. So this is really all over 1. To get rid of the negative exponent, we write it as 1 over negative 8, don't forget the parentheses, to the positive 1/3 power. Let's write this in radical form. Feels like we haven't done it forever, but this, written in radical form, is 1 over the 3rd root of negative 8. This is starting to look a little bit normal. Now we got to ask ourselves, to figure out the 3rd root of anything, we ask ourselves, what number times itself 3 times will give us the radicand, the thing under the radical? In this case, it'd be negative 2, because negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. So the final answer is 1 over negative 2. Last one, piece of cake. Use the quotient rule. These fractions are exponents, the bases are the same, so that's going to allow you to subtract the exponents to combine these. Since 1/4 is the smaller one, that's the one you want to move, that's the one you want to subtract from the 9/4. So the first step would be 5 9⁴ minus 1/4, which would give you 5 to the 8/4, because 9 minus 1 is 8. Then you can reduce the fraction 8 over 4 to 2, and then 5 squared is just